Can we talk about the
cannot miss-
sound portfolio for this?
The sound portfolio is amazing. Yes. When she's like chewing on the like gumming that freaking mint.
It's like whenever you're watching Netflix and like the caption, it's like parentheses
Audible.
squelching.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Scary Movie Nights podcast, a bi-weekly podcast where the scares are real, but the friendships are realer. Speaking of, Charlie, our guest for today, we'll more on him a little later, but he gave us these little...
These little what? These little what? Pick a noun.
Little
Ghost
cutie
figures.
ghosties.
They're little ghosties. And look, he has a son. So
Don't talk to me, you're my
we really
son.
appreciate that.
I
That's
mean,
really
how did they
cute.
become that way? Was it a family car accident?
Maybe we'll talk about it. Anyway, today we'll be discussing Sam Raimi's 2009 film Drag Me to Hell. That's Mariana,
And that's Joanne.
and we are your hosts for the night. But first, Mariana, we have our third guest on the podcast, my good friend Charlie, that's
Hello.
gracing us with his presence tonight.
Ah.
So I will say before I let him speak, he is
That's really
another
sweet.
person.
You can't speak yet.
No, you can't speak yet. He is another person who was like extremely helpful in getting all of our podcast stuff set up. So yeah, clap and thank you, Charlie. Thank you so much
No,
for
don't blame your
everything.
podcast problems on me now.
That's exactly
That's what
what
Curtis
Curtis
said.
said.
I don't want you setting up me as a
You
scapegoat.
know what? There's
There's a cat
you.
under my pants.
They love a leg tent.
Apparently.
I love that. And also, just a little heads up. If my audio sounds a little weird, it's because we're actually missing like a third mic, and so I'm using my like Pixel buds or whatever to like record the audio. And they're decent, but you know, they're not like omnidirectional mics by any means. So, so just a little bit of a disclaimer there. But anyway, Charlie, since you're our guest, let me ask you first. What made you glad you're not being cursed by a, what do we call her? Babushka of Doom?
No. That is her most valuable accessory.
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
You know what a babushka is, Joanne?
Is it like a thing
the
that you
head
cover
wrap.
your head?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Babushka
Of Doom.
of Doom.
Yes. It's a legendary artifact.
Okay, disgusting old lady then. I don't know. What makes you glad you're not being cursed?
Probably I'm happy because all the mouth stuff. I don't want to get gummed up. I don't want arms going in my. I can die not getting all the mouth horror from a curse.
Oh my God, word.
Other curses we can talk about, but this one in particular, I'm not a big fan of mouth horror.
No.
Mouth horror, so niche.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
such a
I
specific
mean, even as a
horror.
gay man, I don't want it. No.
That reminds me
so-
of our lost episode, Swallowed.
Oh yeah, the last episode coming to our Patreon.
Oh my God.
But what like made your week like good?
This week in particular,
Sure, yeah.
I mean, I got promoted and I'm alive.
Yay! Those are
So
both
good.
great.
I know. I love being alive and being promoted.
I
love
mean,
being
I don't know
promoted.
what the alternative is, so I'm hesitant to say I'm favorable to existing.
We're getting deep already.
Oh, wow.
Already,
sorry.
girl.
You see, you know,
What if life
our
outside
friend,
of the Matrix is better?
I know.
I mean, yeah,
Who
who
knows?
knows?
I mean, here's the thing. You know, our friend Curtis was on here previously, and he really elevated the intellectual, variables of this show. So
Probably.
I'm here to bring it back down.
We do that pretty well
Yeah,
ourselves, I
I'm
would
pretty
say.
sure. I still don't know the difference between the Arctic and Antarctica. So there it is. But
wow.
Mariana, what about you?
This week, I'm super glad that I'm not being cursed by a disgusting old lady, the Babushka of Doom. I'm grateful for yogurt this week. Shout out to yogurt.
Wait, you did
Yeah.
what with yogurt?
I'm grateful for it.
Oh,
I did what with yogurt?
okay. Yeah, yogurt.
I'm grateful for yogurt because
yogurt.
I'm taking a lot of antibiotics right now. So probiotics are like on the
Yes.
top of my list of things to put inside of me. That's a weird way to put it.
No, it
But,
works. It's on the theme of the mouth horror.
Yogurt and kombucha. So shout out to those things because I feel
Shout out to
so
positive
gross.
gut bacteria.
Yes.
All
A
the
healthy
For
poops.
sure.
All the
Fiber.
poops.
Microbiome.
Fiber.
Yup.
Joanne, what about you?
So,
Yes, tell us about your mouth horrors this week.
my mouth horrors. I don't know if you want to hear about that specifically, but I literally had one and then it just went away.
A mouth horror?
No, I had an idea of what I was going to say. Honestly, this last week it froze and school
Oh my
got
God.
canceled.
Yeah. We had a snow day.
And we had a snow day.
Yeah.
That was really cool.
No, that was really cool. It was beautiful.
I did not go outside, but
Really?
I did observe, and it was beautiful.
Yeah.
It was gorgeous. I looked out the window and everything.
It was like
I
several
took a little
inches of snow
picture.
too, which is
Yeah,
like
it's-
kind of nuts.
It's crazy
It's
over
not
here.
something I expected after moving here to Houston to ever see snow again.
Yeah.
I'm happy the children of my neighborhood got to build snowmans for the first time in their life, but I see this as a harbinger of what the fuck is to come.
Yeah.
It totally is.
Yes,
but I'm
for
trying
sure.
not to think about that.
'Cause
Nope.
where I'm from in New Orleans, we basically, it doesn't snow all that often, but when it does, we sort of have a rule that means it's going to be a bad hurricane season.
Oh,
Oh.
that makes sense.
So
Because of extremes.
it's always been sort of, that's just how it happens. If it snows in New Orleans, the next hurricane season is usually particularly brutal.
Ah,
Sorry to kill the vibe.
dang. Yeah, we do not like hearing that because hurricanes can hit us pretty bad too.
That's
but
true.
Houston
anyway.
did not handle a Category 1 very well.
No, we
last
did
year.
not. No, we did not.
Literally. So,
That was really
but
scary.
enough about that. Let's sacrifice a goat for Drag Me to Hell.
Yeah.
So this first section is going to be our no spoiler synopsis and like trivia and stuff. So if you haven't watched Drag Me to Hell, this first part is safe to listen to. So yeah, Mariana, our resident horror movie expert.
I'll take it away.
Take it away.
I did once again, without ChatGPT.
Lies.
This is the no spoiler synopsis. No, I really wrote this. This is Drag Me to Hell 2009. It's a supernatural horror film that follows Christine, an accounts agent at a bank who's eager to be promoted. In an effort to look good in front of her manager, she denies a mortgage extension to an old lady who proceeds to curse her. Christine spends the following 3 days attempting to get rid of the curse to avoid being dragged into hell.
Yep. And not just the bad word cursing. Like this is like the actual real cursing
Yeah.
of being
Yes.
cursed.
Yeah. She's just walking around like, shit, fuck.
Like, oh, man, I'm cursed. Oh.
The old lady just curses her out
Yeah.
and leaves.
Yeah.
And the movie ends.
And then cut
the
to credits
roll.
just right away. There we
Yeah,
go,
she
we're
got
done.
dragged, girl.
That's so good.
She dragged her all the way to hell.
That's so
Oh my
funny.
god, somebody call RuPaul.
Now, for the casting of this film, we have Alison Lohman as Christine Brown. She's our main character. And we also have Justin Long
Woo!
as Clay Dalton. Shout out to Justin Long.
Honestly,
He's
I
so good in
didn't
scary
even know
movies.
until I rewatched this movie that I was a Justin Long fan.
Yeah.
For some reason.
I
but
love
like
him.
every time I see Justin Long, I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah.
I love it. Like,
I love
it's
him
kinda
from New
crazy.
Girl. That's like the first time I ever really saw him, and
New
I guess
Girl.
that like says something about my age.
Yeah.
But I just remember him as Genslinger from New Girl.
So this is I don't even know. I don't think most people even know what this movie is, but have you ever watched it's not Oh my god, what is happening with my brain today?
I don't
literally can't
know.
remember
I don't know,
anything.
but it makes for amazing audio.
Keep doing it.
I don't even edit these things out. I would just leave them in
You
there.
Don't
shouldn't.
say. Leave
he's
5 stars on your distributor of
leave
choice,
5 stars.
please.
Just a lot of like anyway. He's just not that into you.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I've seen it. Well,
So
I think I've seen it. I'm watching movies that I'm like, oh yeah, I've seen this movie, and then I'm watching the movie and I'm like, I don't think I've ever seen this movie, and I don't know if I forgot it.
yeah.
Or if I just know enough about the movie from like people talking about the movie that I feel like I've watched the movie. I feel like okay, I watched Jurassic Park yesterday. I was like, oh, let me rewatch Jurassic Park. Like, of course I've seen Jurassic Park, and then I'm sitting there watching Jurassic Park like, I don't think I've ever actually seen this movie. I just think I've seen enough clips on
Yeah.
TikTok and Instagram that it feels like I've watched it. So that's how I feel about He's just not that into you.
Okay, that's fair.
I did not realize I was coming to a house of sin today.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
I've
Hey,
never seen Jurassic Park.
There are firsts for everyone.
I watched it
Everything.
yesterday, and it was great, and I love it.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
listen and we don't judge.
And I method dressed today after watching Jurassic Park. Okay, so for casting, some interesting tidbits. Elliot Page was originally supposed to play the role of Christine, but dropped due to a SAG strike. The actress that plays Mrs. Ganush, the Babushka of Doom, is
We're on a
Lorna
first
Raver.
name basis. Let's come on, Sylvia.
Sylvia.
She's close to our heart.
You're right. We've seen so much of her that I probably should never have seen. So yeah, Sylvia. So the actor that plays Sylvia, Lorna Raver, she met with a Hungarian dialect coach and asked to have portions of the script translated into Hungarian. And then Raimi, the director, who also wrote this film with his brother, would later ask her to use some of those Hungarian words in the scenes where Ganush attacks Christine, which is like the most iconic scene in the film. I have never screamed so hard watching a scary movie than in the car scene in the parking garage.
Yeah,
Like,
honestly, that's true.
genuinely.
I have never screamed so much at a title card. Like as soon as it just comes out of nowhere,
Yeah.
would drag me. Sorry, I just spiked
This-
the audio to like. Crazy
That's one of the things I
amounts.
love about this film, because I feel like so many parts of it are so in your face.
Yes.
Like unapologetically just like either ridiculous or scary or whatever, or like a mixture.
Yeah, they just wanted to do the most, and they did.
They did the most.
What did Raimi call this in an interview? It's not slapstick. It's like
Slapstick.
no,
Slapstick horror.
no. What that's the thing. It's slapstick horror because he said that his biggest influence was the Three Stooges.
Oh,
And he,
What?
wanted, and he wanted to make slapstick, but he called it something. He like coined a term. It was like smush stick or something. I don't know. I forgot what it was. It's not coming up, but that was his whole inspiration for this type of movie. You know, the other things he's obviously done in the horror realm was it's comedy, but it's horror, which is why like the fight scenes are so silly. You know, I don't want to get. We're in the non-spoiler part.
Yeah,
I'm not
yeah,
going to
yeah.
get too deep. We'll talk about that
fight
later.
scenes. That's
Fight
true.
But yeah,
scenes.
I forgot
there
the
are
exact
fight
word
scenes.
he used in the interview, but he actually did coin a term for his inspiration of how he.
I feel like slapstick horror is good.
Slapstick
Like,
horror is pretty great.
But he,
that does
yeah, he
it.
said
Kinda
something. It was
matches
like
that-
something
matches
stick
that
was
very
the
much.
term he coined, but we'll find it later.
Okay, now for some themes, there's not like, I don't know. I also like that this movie's not too well. Okay, you're gonna prove me wrong because you're gonna come up with something that's like, oh, this is a metaphor for this.
Well, I literally my head is empty as usual
okay.
for this movie, to be
Great,
honest.
because I feel like this
dear.
movie is kind of like it is what it is.
Yes,
And
that's
it is what it is.
It is what it is.
So some of the themes that came up as I was researching on Wikipedia, which I donated to recently, by the way, because I use it a lot for
Good.
the podcast. So.
Honestly, yeah,
Thank you.
that's very good. Thank you,
Wikipedia.
Wikipedia.
But some people are talking about how this is like, I guess, an ode to the mortgage crisis of 2008 and the Great Recession, because this movie came out in 2009. But I think it
goodness.
But
might
wasn't
all
it
just
written
be
in the 90s?
coincidental. They wrote it like 10 years before. So it was Sam Raimi and Ivan Raimi, his brother. They wrote it together, and it was originally supposed to be called The Curse. But then they changed it to Drag Me to Hell.
But then he got involved with Spider-Man.
Yeah, he did all the first three. The Tobey
Toby,
Maguire.
the Toby Maguire.
Tobey Maguire. I'm so sorry, Toby Hooper. I just would like to apologize again.
Fantasy casting.
There's also some fan theories that state that this movie is kind of like a metaphor for eating disorders, which is like, there's a lot of stuff about, well, she was like overweight as a child, which is like a big part of the plot for some reason.
Yeah.
I can't remember why. And the movie has a lot of like mouth stuff and vomiting, but it's not the mouth stuff you think I'm talking about. It's even worse.
Or is it?
Or is
I actually
it?
didn't even, so like, you know how I like to like look for meaning and stuff
Yes.
in movies, and I didn't even catch the eating disorder part,
Me
even
neither.
though like while
right
watching the movie,
there.
it's literally
It's
in
right-
your face.
it's right
because there
there.
are specific scenes where she's looking at like a cupcake or something,
Yeah.
and she's just like, longingly, and then she
Yeah.
turns to like her photo book or something, and she like looks at her like bigger
Yeah.
self, and like it's right there, and I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like, I just take it at face value,
Well,
and I just-
everything else, like a lot of other stuff is happening, to be
That's
fair.
true.
So there's
That's
that.
true.
I also think that there's a theme of like morality. Like we have this character who I think is supposed to be like overall good. It's like this like good like all-American girl, but then she does something like extremely selfish and it just like damns her to hell. Like, can one bad deed condemn
I
someone to
have
hell?
words about that though.
Okay.
I have words about that. I don't know if I can get into it pre-spoiler.
We'll get it.
Are
We'll
we
get
able to
into it.
talk about just at least the opening scene?
Which, like the boy?
The
boy.
Juan, my boy Juan.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we can talk about that.
Like that set the tone for.
Bro.
He just stole a trinket.
And they tried to give it back. No, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Like
I've done that.
this community. I'm not going to use the G word. I find that like in the past
Yeah.
15 years that has become a
Yeah.
bad word. So
Yeah,
I'm not going to
yeah,
use the
yeah.
G word. They're petty. They're petty bitches.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
10-year-old stole a
Apparently.
silver
We'll use
bracelet
the
or
P
necklace.
word, petty.
I think it was a necklace or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And
it
the
was a
parents tried to
necklace.
give it back.
Yeah.
And they were like, no, to hell, straight to hell.
Yeah, straight to hell.
Straight to hell.
That's the Parks and Believe it or
Right to
not,
jail.
straight to hell.
Straight to jail.
Yeah.
Right to
Got
hell.
him. Straight to
Straight
hell.
to hell.
Steal a thing?
And
Hell.
so, even though our good old American farm girl, she's not perfect.
No.
Which one of us are?
Exactly.
But Juan, like it all goes back.
I know
to
he's so
Juan. He did not
little.
deserve
Yeah.
that.
No, he didn't.
And he didn't deserve the weird lighting that takes place that allows his shadow to be cast perfectly over
Yeah,
the
correct.
face.
Like, girl.
Okay, so for production, I think it's my favorite scene in the whole movie, but the whole scene in the parking garage, they used what they called a puzzle car. So essentially you could take this car apart so that you could get all these different shots because there's a lot of different like angles that they get in that car. Like they get her like pressing the gas pedal and all these things. So the front compartment, engine, top, and doors all came off of this car. And they also used a lot of like what they called effects houses, which sounds kind of cool and reminded me of RuPaul's Drag Race. Like, you know how drag queens have houses? Apparently there's like special effects companies. And it was a combination of virtual effects as well as prosthetics that they used for this film. Okay, so like I mentioned, Sam Raimi, we've been talking about him a lot. He is the director and he also wrote the screenplay along with his brother. He also wrote the Spider-Man trilogy, so I didn't know that, but good for him. And this is a quote, this is not a quote from him. I just quoted this from Wikipedia. They wrote the script as a morality tale, desiring to write a story about a character who wants to be a good person but makes a sinful choice. I wouldn't call that a sin.
Girl, this
Okay,
is what we need to get to the
greed for her own
post-spoiler
betterment.
section because
Okay, anyway.
we need to get to the spoiler
I also have
section.
thoughts about this.
Yeah.
Juan didn't deserve it. I don't think she deserved it either.
I don't think so either. Even though I don't really like her.
Yes.
And
both
more
can
on
be
that
true at
later.
the same time. Both
Yes.
can be true at the same time. Okay, let's talk about the Lamia because that is like the demon that
that's
she is cursed
homeboy.
with.
Yeah.
It's a cloven-hoofed, lamb-shaped demon. However, in reality, the Lamia is a different beast altogether. It's from Greek mythology.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And it's a boogie woman known for sulking the country for little children to feast upon. Slay.
Thanks, Hera.
The tale becoming
That's
popular
population
in
control.
Greece as a way for young children to get young children to go to bed at night. And,
like the
respect
boogeyman
curfew
or
and
the
stuff.
cool.
Yeah. Visually, the beast is often depicted with a snake-like tail, reptilian body, and as a half-woman, half-serpent hybrid.
Because that's what Final Fantasy has taught me about the Lamia.
I've never heard of this before.
Basically, Hera kills all of her children because she had an affair with Zeus. Shocker. Daddy Zeus fucking around. Shocker.
Typical. Also, I would like to mention, like, in Spanish, the word for, like, licking is lamer. And, like, that's pretty close to Lamia. Probably not on purpose, but maybe a funky
They might have
thinking.
the same, like,
Latin word.
like roots, or
Yeah.
something. I don't know. Because snakes are very licky.
Snakes are notoriously very licky.
You know what I mean?
Tonguey.
ooh,
Someone who
Is it
worked
in
at a
the
zoo
air?
for 7 years right now, I'm holding back very intensely.
Are snakes not licky?
I wouldn't call them licky. The Jacobson's organ that is located inside of what we consider a snake's tongue is how they smell, but I'll stop there.
Yeah. That's how they like to
so they
text,
just wanna
like,
smell.
That is
Yeah,
how
yeah.
they collect particles the same way your cat and dog do. But that's
Okay,
how
I mean,
they
I didn't know
sound.
what the thing was
A
called, but
Jacobson's organ.
they're still licky.
Yeah.
They're still licky. Yeah.
They're
They are
still
licky.
licky.
They are. I'm a sneaky snake.
This little sneaky little snake. Okay, Drag Me to Hell also features a lot of cameo appearances by Raimi's friends. So apparently he just like lets his friends be in his movies
Dude,
all the time, which I
me
kind of
too.
love.
I would do that.
I would do that
I
too.
would do that 100%.
I would do that too. Also, Octavia Spencer is in this movie,
Dude,
which is kind of crazy.
do not remember her. I know y'all mentioned
She's
that.
in the banks, like she's just a coworker at the bank. It's just
Oh,
Octavia,
really?
Oscar-nominated actress Octavia
Dang.
Spencer.
Okay. That's why I
So
missed her.
That's awesome. Okay, now for awards, I didn't find any like super noteworthy awards, but this film did make a lot of money. It made $90.8 million worldwide. It had a $30 million budget, so it did pretty well. And it has a 92% on Rotten Tomatoes, which I think is like super well deserved. This movie is so like, it's so camp. I love this movie. I've never screamed so hard watching a scary movie ever. And not that I was screaming because I was scared necessarily, but I was screaming.
Yeah.
I was actually like yelling watching this movie. And I've never done that in a movie before.
I love those facts, and I love the fact that it made triple what
Yeah.
it cost to make. Like
Yeah.
that's so awesome. I love it when horror movies are successful.
Yes, it had like really good like reception. Like people liked it.
Yeah, that's fun. Cool. All right. Well, would you like to move on to the spoiler section now, or?
I'm ready if you are.
Okay, I am so ready because I have a lot of like thoughts. Okay.
Uh-oh.
Now, before we move on to the next section, if you haven't already watched the movie, but you think you might want to, just stop the podcast right now. Or as Curtis said, keep the podcast playing, just turn the sound
Oh,
all the way
yeah.
down and then go back and listen to this
Again. Yeah.
so the play counts. But beware, spoilers ahead.
Dun dun dun.
Okay, so Charlie, do you want to give your
God.
opinions first, or we could,
Yeah, sure.
I mean, so don't worry about spoilers at all. So like, this is our
Yeah,
spoiler
we can
section.
spoil.
We're in the
Say what you will,
post-spoiler
and then
section.
we'll move into our good, bad, spooky section at the end.
Sure. I am ill prepared, but we'll do what we can.
Okay.
That's okay. We're okay with freestyle.
Do you like the movie?
Yeah, of course.
Okay,
Yeah,
this is one of your top movies, right?
I like it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Listener, just so you know, I asked Charlie for a list of like his favorite horror movies, and this was in it.
And listeners, in all fairness, it was also a long list. So, no, I really enjoyed it, but I also am a big fan of the whole Evil Dead universe.
Okay.
And
So you think this is like in that same universe?
it absolutely is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ash
Okay.
Williams' car is what Sylvia drives around.
Okay. Okay.
There's other references that I'm sure we could dive into, but it's absolutely part of the same universe. I think Sam Raimi even said this is in the same universe.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I didn't know that.
so
I
yeah,
think there's
that-
like a line that Christine says at one point that's like a reference to.
I mean, there's no S-Mart, unfortunately. Shop smart. Shop S-Mart. But it is, oh, hi, Kat.
So I'm gonna add to the sin you were speaking of earlier,
Oh,
to where
no.
I have not actually watched
You
Evil
would
Dead
love
2.
Army of Darkness if you haven't seen
Okay,
that.
I have not seen it. I would like to, but I have trouble finding them. Like, where do I watch?
Do you have a DVD?
I have a
I have all of them on
PlayStation.
That'll
Blu-ray
do
and
it.
DVDs.
That'll do it.
Dude, let's
So-
watch it. Actually, let's
Yes,
make some plans.
But yeah, I think I even have the cover of my cookbook where I write all my recipes is the Necronomicon.
Nice. So I love the remake of Evil Dead, like the newer version of it. It's one of my favorite scary movies because it's so like gory and just like ridiculous and over the top. And I really wanted to watch the original like Sam Raimi Evil Dead, but I cannot find it anywhere.
Okay. I mean, I'm sure it's available, even if we, listener, don't pirate, but pirate it.
We do not endorse that.
We
We do
could take
not
to the
endorse.
digital seas and
Yeah,
find it somewhere,
yeah,
I'm sure. But no, I really did enjoy Drag Me to Hell, and honestly, I hadn't seen it in a few years. I watched it in preparation of recording this with you beautiful people here today, and it reminded me. It's like this. and I don't know if everybody's going to have this reaction, but I was laughing the whole time.
Yeah.
I was like,
yes.
it is just such a horror comedy.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I understand how many people may not see it that way. Like, can we talk about how Sylvia at one point gets stabbed with a ruler down her throat and then somehow hucks it enough with enough force to shatter tempered car glass.
And the stapler, as
The
you can see, like, in the back.
Yeah, that's
our
what I
iconic
meant when I
picture.
said I was like screaming watching this movie. It was like more like cackling. Like
Yeah,
it was
it's
so
ridiculous.
funny.
And
The
like,
gumming, she got
seance
gummed a
scene,
lot
She
in that
got
movie.
gummed so
Even
much.
after death, she
Funeral-
kept
Oh my
gumming
God.
her.
Funeral gumming with formaldehyde slime was a.
The funeral was crazy.
The funeral was this bitch had it out for her. Like
For
Sylvia
real.
literally, you know what? Go off.
It was
queen.
like pre-funeral, like funeral, and
Funeral,
then
and then
post-funeral. Like, I
post-funeral.
think
It's
they
the
even
full
get some in.
trinity
Yeah.
of geriatric gumming. So, talking about Sylvia a little bit more, there are a couple of things that I question about this character. One, if you are going to purchase dentures, why do you need dentures that look like they can chew through stainless steel?
Oh yeah, because she's
Like,
got
if you're
the.
going to get dentures, why not get nice little pearly whites? You're just going for the witch thing
Also,
at this point.
dentures are expensive.
Yeah.
Like they're not cheap.
That's why she couldn't pay her house note.
Because she
You
needed
can
the
eat
gnarly
or you
dentures.
can have a place to live.
And also, like, about the car, a car note. No, she's not living in her car. So the mortgage note. That is a very large family at that funeral.
Literally.
Could none of them
yes.
help?
And
Thank
it looked
you.
like her daughter was in there already anyway. Like her daughter was already living with her or something. and
Also,
she was
this
like,
was the second extension. Like she had already gotten one Christine gave her.
no, she had gone two.
She had gone two?
So she had missed 2 payments.
I'm sorry. No, listen.
Ma'am, Sylvia.
Ma'am.
That's why we were talking about how petty she is,
She's
because
petty.
she is
Yeah.
so petty. She's like, oh, you're not going to let me skip on my loan again a third time?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm going to drag you to hell,
What the
literally.
hell?
But at the same time, if someone comes into your place of work, has an iced over dead eye, an obvious babushka of doom, and it takes out her gnarly dentures to,
And her
to steal
nails.
the nails.
Her nails.
Give her what she wants. We have all seen horror movies. This is not a universe where the
true.
characters don't know what the word zombie means.
That's true.
I'm sorry. It's like you come to my place of work and you look like that and you need something. It's like,
How can I help you?
I got you.
I got you.
I got you.
Also,
No Lamia.
I have no idea. It's like, okay, yes. Just don't be around me anymore. I'll give you whatever you want. But also, I think, if I'm remembering correctly, like, I think she curses it, like, Christine, not even because of the mortgage thing, but it's because she, like, kind of embarrasses her.
She embarrassed
Shame.
herself,
Shame.
girl.
Yeah.
She did embarrass herself also. So even aside, like, mortgage aside, she
Yeah.
embarrassed herself.
Yeah,
And
she embarrassed
also,
herself.
like,
Because she like dropped to her knees and was begging her, right? And Christine was like, please get off of me.
Yeah.
Like you're, and then she like falls to the ground. And that's
Yeah.
when she's like, oh, you've shamed me. I'm like, girl, please
Yeah.
get up.
Christine should have cursed her.
Yeah, literally.
For doing that to
Yeah.
her.
Literally.
White girl
literally.
magic.
Like,
White girl. Not the white girl magic.
Get
White
pumpkin
girl
spice in
magic.
your veins and in your eyes.
Can we actually? I
Boogity,
would love
boogity.
to talk about that whole bank scene, because that whole bank scene had so many like great horror moments, both of like
Oh, you
this.
mean the misogyny?
Well, yeah, honestly, because
Stu?
she's like, I've been working XYZ like
Yeah.
amount of time here, and I would really like the promotion. He's like, well, we might give it to Stu, who just started, and also is a piece of shit. And like
Yeah.
Stu is the worst, like the way he like emotionally like manipulates
Yeah.
and treats Christine.
and, like, straight up steals her files.
Straight up
at
steals
one
her
point.
files. So like there's that emotional horror in that part, because like we've all
Mhm.
dealt with someone like that at work,
Oh,
where
Stu,
it's like,
Stu, fuck you, spicy mustard.
yeah, literally, make your own damn sandwich, because he asked her for a sandwich.
Yeah.
I was like,
You know
wow,
who
that was-
wouldn't treat her that way? Spider-Man.
I was gonna say Justin Long, but
I was thinking, like, oh, we haven't even talked about about him yet. He's great. When he pays $10,000.
Oh, period. I was like, that's a ride or die.
Yeah.
And she's like, you don't even believe in this stuff. And he's like, but I believe in you. I was like,
Marry him. Marry him.
marry that man. And he was going to propose.
Yeah. He was so sweet.
He was so sweet. He was so in love with her.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. I love him.
Yeah, I love him too. But anyway, so like the bank scene, so there's like the emotional horror and then there's the body horror.
Yeah.
Right? Of like her taking out her dentures.
Oh my God.
And everything is so close up too.
Yeah.
Like
Can
you
we talk about the
cannot miss-
sound portfolio for this?
yes.
The sound
It's like-
portfolio is amazing.
Oh!
Yes. When she's like chewing on the like gumming that freaking mint.
It's like whenever you're watching Netflix and like the caption, it's like parentheses
Audible.
squelching.
Speaking of Netflix, this is not a Netflix and chill movie.
No.
Nobody's getting head during a Sylvia scene.
No,
Absolutely
not at
No way.
all. Oh my God.
Although gumming.
The gumming.
Oh,
is
no, thank you, sir.
No.
Anyway, I love the bank scene. I think that's such a great like setup for like the rest of the things that happen to Christine
Yeah.
because I mean, you're right. The very beginning scene establishes the mood of the movie.
The pettiness of
everything,
the
and
mystics, we'll call
but
that.
in case you missed it, here's a lady hiding in the back of
Yeah.
your car.
Also, okay.
And she's gonna fuck
I
you
think
up.
added to the pettiness is the timeline of this curse. Like 3 days is not a lot.
It's
Like
not.
at least in the ring you have 7. Like you have a
Yeah,
week
7,
to get
yeah.
your affairs in order.
Correct.
But 3,
It-
like it takes you 3 days to figure out that something's fucking up in
Yep.
the first place.
Exactly.
It's obviously a Judeo-Christian. They love their threes.
That's true. That's true. But I think that just adds to the pettiness. But then after that, it's the scene in the parking
Yeah.
garage.
She has no time to waste. And also she had no time to waste dying either.
Yeah, she dies
Although, you know,
immediately.
Christine did beat her though. Like
That's true.
she
Okay, like
did
in
mess her up.
self-defense.
Yeah,
In
that's true,
self-defense.
that's true.
What would you do, Joanne, if Sylvia
Oh,
started
if
gumming
she's
you up
coming-
in your
If
car
she's
Oh
ew.
God.
and just
Puke.
fired
Puke.
a ruler out of her
Oh.
throat at you like
No
she's some sort of
problem hitting an
Gundam?
old lady who's about to curse me. Let me tell you what.
And
I
I
have
will
no
bring this
problem.
up several times on this podcast, but Babushka of Doom.
Babushka of Doom.
The moment that starts floating around my car, we ain't driving anywhere. in that
Yeah.
moment. What is attracting you, oh Babushka of Doom?
Oh, you'll have a conversation with it.
Or you pull out your phone and start recording. You know, we're gonna American. Oh man, what was that with the dancing bag in the wind?
Yes.
Dancing bag.
Well, I know it's in
Kevin
Not Another
Spacey
Teen movie as well, but have you ever seen Not Another Teen movie? It's where it's a satirical film of like all the teen movies.
Yes.
And that same character that you're talking about, because I know American Sweetheart or something. I don't remember,
It's
but
American something. Why can't I? It was basically a classic. I can't remember the name of the damn movie though.
yeah, there's this weird guy with like a photograph, like a camera, and he's recording like this plastic bag floating in the wind. He's trying to make it all like artsy and
It's
like
the most
high.
beautiful thing I've ever seen. Is
Right.
The bag dancing
Yeah.
in the wind.
Bag.
If the Babushka of Doom is dancing in the wind in a underground parking
Yeah.
garage where there should not be wind,
Right.
Yeah.
I have questions immediately.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the first of those is going to be me checking the back seat.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How did she
Actually,
get in there?
She didn't even
Magic.
see
Her
her.
nails probably
Well,
just
she was like,
dug her way into the car.
you know, she was already concerned and worried, so I understand her not like checking the back seat, but that's something I just before I get into my car,
Yeah.
I'm like,
Quick peek
As a
back
single
there.
white woman in America, you should check your back seat.
yeah, for sure. Christine, come on. Can we talk about her? Because she's so looks. Actually, I don't like her at all.
I don't like her either. I don't think we're supposed to like her.
I think we're supposed
Well,
to
I got good
identify
news for
with her.
y'all.
Tell me.
How does her story end?
Oh, that's true. Okay, I think I was on the fence about her for most of the movie until she sacrifices her kitten.
Oh.
And then I was
Little
like,
meow meow.
I don't care what happens to you at this point. Also, you're like, you don't deserve Justin Long. Like, he's so good to her.
Mhm.
Oh, and the scene whenever they go visit his parents, that was crazy.
That was
too.
so great.
That wasn't
His
her
mom is
fault, but
such a
oh my
bitch.
god.
Now here's the thing, like asking y'all for real, like we all hate the cat scene, like but at the end of the day, it's a movie. Yeah. If I don't want to ask this. Like I love my I got an 11-year-old girl dog at home. She is the center of my world. But if you had a demon chasing you and you thought killing your cat or your dog would free you from this horror, like, because at first, like, we have to talk about the comedy of that scene too, because the comedy is like, I could never hurt you. You see her thinking about it, I can never hurt you. Then the shadow hooves
Yes.
come from under the door, and then she's
true.
like, with the knife,
With a knife.
"Here, kitty, kitty, kitty." Like, it's a terrible idea, but it's fucking funny.
Yeah.
Like, at that point.
No, it is
But
funny.
I have to ask myself, like, if I'm being absolutely tortured by this demonic entity, and for whatever reason, I think that I could free myself of it by doing this sacrifice, it's like, would you? I think, like, it's very quick in the storytelling
Yeah.
of, like,
And she
she's
doesn't
not
have a lot
gonna,
of time.
and then she's like, oh no, I have to. Like, even,
Yeah.
oh my God, what's his name? The psychic, the neighborhood psychic, who's like, you'd be surprised about what you're capable of once you're pushed.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's like, I have to
I-
ask myself, like, would I?
I'm
Would
gonna be
I?
real honest with you. I think I would.
Yeah.
I don't think I would do it the way she did it because she literally just took a kitchen knife and like killed the cat, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, girl, have you not watched a scary movie or read a scary book or something?
Joanne would make
I'm sure there's
an
a
appointment for
ritual.
lethal injection.
No. No, I'm sure there's like a ritual or
How would
something
you-
that you have to sacrifice
okay, that's what
the
bothered me
animal
too. Is like
or-
she did no research
No
on
research.
this. It
She
was
just killed the cat.
Yes,
I'm
like if I had like concrete like peer reviewed research that this is gonna work, then yes, I would do it. But I feel like she doesn't have a lot to go on, and she's like, well, I'll just try this and see if it works.
They're
But maybe
eating
she
the
did
dogs.
really believe it. She did believe it, maybe. So like, okay, fine. Like,
I don't know,
I'll cut
I
her
guess. I
some
think the most
slack, but
frustrating decision she made for me was not giving Stu the button, which was not really the button, so it wouldn't have
Yeah.
mattered. But like,
Oh, we
Girl-
fast forwarded all the way at the end. Okay.
yeah, for sure, yeah.
we moved back and
spoilers.
forth.
Yeah, it's spoiler section.
My bad.
No, yeah,
It's a
fine.
free-for-all
It's a
now.
free for all. Like that guy sucks, bro. Like he's
Yeah.
actually the worst.
But does that help y'all like her a little bit more?
No, it
That
doesn't
She
at
was
all
not
for
willing
me.
to do that to him.
No, not for me.
It's a bit of a
Mark,
redemption.
go ahead.
It's
Mark.
a-
Go ahead.
it's a
You
moment
take
of
it, because
redemption.
you already know
Okay,
where
so I
I'm
think
at.
it's just going back to this, like, the question of, like, morality of, like, whether she is or not a good person. And she, along the way, like, of course, she makes this, like, bad decision and shames this woman, which wasn't even, okay, it's fine. But then I think she does kind of redeem herself in some of her actions. But I think it's just a matter of, I guess as I've gotten older, I used to see the world like very black and white. It's like you're a good person or you're a bad person. But now I'm like, no, like
a good witch or a bad witch?
you can be a good person and do bad things. And I do
Yeah.
like that she doesn't give Stu the button.
It's a moment of redemption.
I like that she doesn't give it
especially
to
when she's
him.
looking at the old man in the restaurant. It's like he already knocking on death's door, but he doesn't need to go to hell.
Yeah.
You know, that's the thing.
Yeah.
But I do think it's a nice little capstone of redemption for her, whether or not she deserves it or whether or not we're only seeing a very small encapsulation of her life. Like, I like to think overall she's a decent person, probably could stand up for herself a little bit more, but
Yeah.
that's neither here nor there. But it is that moment of redemption for the character that is meant to buy you in before the next big
Yeah,
scene.
which is
obviously
it's so
it is
crazy.
very deliberate that she's like, I'm not going to send the old man to
Yeah.
hell. I'm not going to send Stu to hell, who
Yeah.
absolutely deserves it. Oh my God, my boss protected me. I got a promotion. Oh look, I'm going to get engaged. Then,
Yeah.
like, it's setting you up as the audience to like feel that redemption factor, get
Yeah.
kind of on her side before they
Yeah.
they pull the Raimi effect.
I will say because whenever the envelope switch happens, the switcheroo
Yeah.
of it all,
The
I
Chekhov's
saw it
gun.
coming.
Me
I, like
too.
as soon as she like
Me
dropped all
too.
those papers in her car, I was like,
I was
she's
like,
gonna grab
she's
the
not
wrong
gonna check
fucking
that
envelope. God damn it!
envelope.
And she just. It stresses me out when movies do that. It's like they work so hard and she tries so hard and she was so close. And she's gonna get engaged to this like really sweet man, and I'm like happy for her. And then I was fucking.
So
damn it,
I
Christine.
totally understand and see your point of view where it's like a redemption moment.
Mm.
I see that, but I don't feel like she needs personally don't feel like she needs a redemption moment because she isn't a bad person.
Yes, I agree.
She doesn't need to
yes.
redeem anything.
Yeah.
As a matter of
No.
fact, I think Stu deserves retribution, if anything else.
Yeah.
And I think she had the chance to give that to him and she
Yeah.
didn't. Now, whether or not that shows like her purity of heart or whatever it is that you want to talk about, I'm like, that's bullshit because
Yeah.
like she doesn't deserve to go to hell either.
No.
So,
You're
you know,
right. I don't think she
she's
did
been
anything
burdened
wrong.
by this curse, and I see the tragedy in
killing
her
the cat.
story, but it just pissed me off that like
Does anyone in this movie outside of Sylvia deserve to go to hell? Stu is not a good person, but hell?
Hell did not look fun.
honestly,
Hell was
like-
really
what Stu
bad.
needs most is a therapist to deal with his daddy issues.
Yeah, but outside of
that's it.
Sylvia, who's going around like cursing
Just
people,
cursing
like,
people.
oh, I'm assuming it's someone in her
No.
family that also cursed the Juan at the beginning. Like, does anybody in the movie
definitely
besides
agree.
Sylvia
I
deserve
definitely
to go
agree
to hell?
that Sylvia is the one. Like she made the right call in like giving it to Sylvia, right? Like
Yeah.
that's definitely the person who deserved it the most.
Yeah.
But when she was thinking about giving it to Stu or not, I would have just given it to Stu myself.
You're a bad person, Joe.
I am.
It's okay. I'm glad we established this.
Let me not get on your bad side.
Yeah.
Drag Mara to hell.
I'm gonna go back and learn that Hungarian
It's all right, you have multiple
curse.
Maybe if I kill 2 cats.
I mean,
like, what if she just kept killing more
here's the
cats?
thing. You gotta remember.
It'll buy you 3 more days.
You gotta remember, Lamia gave the cat back in the seance scene.
That's true. The Lamia did give the cat back. Yeah.
I do love that scene, though. That is probably my favorite scene.
The seance
That's my
scene
favorite
is
scene in the movie,
fabulous.
especially
Yeah.
when Lamia starts puppeteering
Yeah.
with the practical effects.
It
like,
just shows how playful it is, right?
Yeah.
Which is interesting because like he's literally playing with his prey,
Yeah.
you know,
Playing with his food.
which is really, really interesting. Is there anything else you guys want to talk about before we move on to the good, the bad, and the spooky?
I mean, I would like to talk more about all the different times the Babushka of Doom made an appearance.
Yeah. I love also
Because it's also the best jump scare outside of the title card.
Yeah.
Is when it just
Yeah.
appears on the windshield
yeah,
right
that was
before
so
it tries
good.
to choke.
That was
Yeah,
so
again,
good.
It like
more
tries to
oral
go in
horror.
and she goes, oh. Which we can talk about.
There's so much
She
of
like
that.
reaches into her mouth. And actually, so like going back to the theme of eating disorders and like
Yeah.
bulimia,
Yeah.
like the fact that went in there and she literally sticks her hand in her
Yeah.
mouth and pulls it out.
Yeah.
Like that's another indicator
Yeah.
that we should have totally caught
Yeah, we
Mariana, but
should
we
have.
did not.
I struggle to believe that anything about this is allegorical for eating disorders. And I do see all
Okay.
the points. I don't think Raimi intended it that way.
I-
I think it's
okay.
just oral
Yeah.
horror is up there with eye horror,
Mm.
where it makes you particularly uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And he knows that. And it's kind of like you can't do eye horror over and over again necessarily, which is why we only got the stapler once.
One staple.
But oral horror is kind of like, especially with all the practical effects, that's a drum you can beat a few times in a movie. And it is, and I understand. I'm not saying people that say it's allegorical to that are wrong. I just don't agree that was the intent of all those scenes.
I do think like they do establish her as like she was young as a child.
When I was a child, I used to be young.
She was a chubby child and like her like longing after cupcakes. Like maybe that is just part of her like insecurity about her boyfriend who is like I think his parents are like well off and stuff and he's like
She probably
a
sees him as
professor.
perfect, you know?
Yeah, so maybe like that's what he was going for. But I do agree that like I also don't think that's what
God.
Raimi was going for.
Really,
was for an allegory
the-
for an eating disorder.
Okay, yeah. I feel like I don't know. I feel like it's too much to be coincidental.
It's a lot.
I think he might not that might not have been the purpose of the movie, but I
Yeah.
definitely he might have been like, oh, it can be like
yeah.
it can be a little bit of this as well, you know. But Sam Raimi definitely like
What if
set,
he just subconsciously did all of that?
well, I think he definitely set out to like make us like a slapstick horror
Yeah.
movie.
Mhm.
And then the allegory of the bulimia eating
Yeah.
disorder is completely secondary to what he was trying to do.
Yeah, for sure.
It's just it's too much of a coincidence
a
for
lot.
me.
There's a
but-
lot.
There's no doubt that there is a lot.
Yeah, but yeah, he probably, you know. Okay, well, our next section is going to be the good, the bad, the spooky. So we'll do like good, 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 Bad, bad, bad. Spooky, spooky, spooky. All right. So, Mariana, do you want to start us off with your good?
Yes, I just love how funny this movie is. It's just so funny.
Yes, it's so funny. Yeah.
It's so funny. It's so chaotic. It feels like this movie. Watching this movie is what it feels like to be on a roller coaster. Like
Yes.
this is.
Oh my God,
it's
yes.
Just such a fun ride. Also, Justin Long.
Justin Long.
I loved him. He was just
Bae.
the best character, and I loved all the mouth stuff. It was just so
You
weird.
heard it here
Stuff,
first,
man.
everybody.
Oh,
Mara,
gosh.
Mara and Joanne love all the mouth stuff.
The mouth stuff is so good.
Yeah, I think I just love how like campy and weird and in your face this movie is. It's just like
Absolutely.
here's some weird shit and here's some more, and then we'll sprinkle a little bit more and then put a weird cherry on top. Like
It never gets too serious
No,
for too long.
no,
Right?
yes.
Like even the neighborhood psychic, like that's a bit of a serious part where it's like,
Yeah.
oh, and then immediately you have Justin Long's character, like, you believe it? Yeah, he tried to take the money, but he tried to
Yeah.
take the money, but he took it. Like, there's always something
Yeah.
like lighthearted about it that's
Yeah.
really fun.
And the camera work, I don't know how to describe it outside of punchy.
yeah.
It's always like boom, boom in your face. It's such a fun ride, man. It is such
Yeah.
a fun ride the whole time. Roller coaster is a perfect way of putting
Yeah.
it.
Yes.
Roller coaster of bloody giggles. Of bodily fluid giggles.
Bodily
all
fluid
the
giggles
way.
in the best way.
Charlie, anything specific you want to add to your good?
Oh crap. Yeah, I'm ill prepared.
No, you're good.
So I mean, we've talked about a lot of it already. It's silly but consistent storytelling, which I think a lot of modern horror, God, I'm old. It ignores because it tries to make it either, oh, where's the twist, right? Where's the twist? Like, give your audience clues, or it's overly jump scare invested. Looking at you, Hereditary. It's like there's storytelling here, and it's so surface level. There's nothing cerebral
Yes.
Yes.
about this story,
Right.
but it's so digestible, but so much fun.
Yes.
At the same time,
Yeah.
like it's just everything about it. I hate to use the word masterpiece but it is. Like it is. Like the movie's brilliant.
Yes.
And I say this in all seriousness. Judge away. This is a comfort movie for me. It is.
It's-
Like
That's awesome.
I think
I
I-
still can watch the goat scene over and over again. I was like, you whore!
Yeah.
I know exactly what you mean. Like it feels like balanced. Like
Yeah.
it's horror for sure. It's gory, like it's funny, but it's like a good mix of everything. It's like how in a good meal you want to have like an acid and like a little spice and like a sweetness and a saltiness. Like it's like the perfect amounts of everything. It's so good.
This is gonna sound weird, but I want the next Ghostbusters movie to have this vibe.
The next ghost.
Like, I want Sam Raimi to make the next Ghostbusters movie. And I will not elaborate.
There's a period at the end of that sentence.
Hurry.
So for me, I agree. Actually, the stuff that y'all wrote is like exactly what I have on my thing.
Let's be real. The stuff that she wrote. It's the first time I'm seeing this.
So like, it is an extremely fun movie, and you know me, I love some Robert Eggers.
Yeah.
Robert Eggers films are very cerebral,
Yes.
right? Like they're very mood steady. They're
Yeah.
slower
There's
paced.
layers.
There's
It's like an
layers
onion.
and stuff. Yeah,
swamp.
this movie, everything's on the surface,
Yes!
and it slaps you
Yes,
with it.
and they just
It's
keep piling
so
on
good.
top of it.
Yeah, and they just piling on top of it, and it's a lot of fun. It is really like a roller coaster. One thing I did right is I love that the actual like dragging to hell
Yeah.
looks different for like the characters in the film as it does to us. So it's like we see like the whole opening up, and like the screams and
Yeah.
the fire and all this other stuff. But like to the characters in the film, it really probably just looks like someone dying.
Yeah.
Like the kid in the beginning, like he falls off the terrace or whatever, right? And then he falls on the ground, and so they just see he probably just to them looks like he's just dead. But like we see that,
Yeah, and
like
then
all
the
that stuff,
fire.
right? Like she falls into the
Train station.
train
Yeah,
station, so he's looking at her like, oh my gosh, like she just got run over by a train. But we see the whole dramatic entrance into hell, and for me, that's what I thought that was depicted on the screen, and so
No,
I really
you're wrong. I'm sorry.
Well,
you're unequivocally wrong, and I will not elaborate.
Wrong.
no
Next.
notes. You're just wrong.
Straight to hell. Straight to hell.
Believe it or not, straight to hell.
Believe it or not.
So I really enjoyed that part too because it's almost like Sam Raimi's almost communicating towards like you don't know if that person who just died in that car crash was actually cursed.
Oh my god.
You know what I
Dun,
mean?
dun, dun.
So, it's one of those things where it's like it perpetuates the mythology and the mystery of the curse to where it's like they're not obviously being dragged into hell, they're just dead. Is it because of the curse? We know as the audience, they don't know that as the
I
characters.
don't know. There's a very significant silhouette in the first scene of the movie that somehow gets projected up 30 feet of poor Juan.
Did they? Oh no, like that part definitely. Like
Yeah.
there's like
Yeah.
the
So do you
psychics and
think like
stuff who
people that
believe
are maybe inclined, people I'm talking about, like they're real.
Yeah.
They
So
are.
they're real in our hearts. The characters are realer. So do you think maybe just mystically inclined people can maybe see what's happening? Because she obviously sees it.
Well, but if you think about it too, like most of the stuff that happens to her, even if it happens in front of other people, they're oblivious to
no,
it.
I
Yeah.
mean in the first scene,
Well, the first scene, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
our mystic woman, like she obviously is no stranger to death.
right.
So she wouldn't look in horror eyes flared down off that terrace at a. I mean, yes.
I mean, she
say
might have-
that
she might have been
fuck
able
the
to see it.
10-year-old. No, I don't mean it like that.
Fuck
Like,
the
but
10-year-old.
she's seeing something.
She might have
happen.
seen that, yeah.
Maybe
Like the
the
psychic
parents
sees-
don't.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe
yeah.
Justin Long's. We keep calling him Justin Long.
Justin
What
Long.
is his character's
Clay.
name?
Clay.
Clay.
I don't think Clay saw her being
from
dragged
Clay's
into hell. I
reaction,
think he
like
saw-
I thought maybe he did. That's the way
No,
I
but he
viewed
looked
it.
shocked, like she just got run over by a train.
That's true.
I see. Yeah, that's debatable. It's like for the audience, maybe it's for the audience. It's like they cast such a yellow, like a golden red film gel glow on his face in that scene.
Yeah,
with the train
like a
tracks
halo.
Yeah, but that's
shadowing
because
over
we
that.
that's because we see the light.
Yeah.
But he probably like that's what I took from it, and I just think that adds to the mysticism of the curse.
I like that
Yeah.
approach actually.
Yeah.
Like it's making me like feel a little like spooky ookier. Thinking it's like you just said, if you witnessed an accident, like, ooh, maybe the person was cursed.
Exactly.
Damn you, Raimi.
Yeah. No, I thought it was brilliant that happened. And then just to kind of finish up, just that's Bay right
Yeah,
there.
Justin Long's character Clay.
Yeah. And then the Lamia.
The Lamia.
What a great monster, right?
Yeah.
What's your bad, Mar?
Okay, my bad is still the sacrificing of the cat. Again, just because she doesn't have enough like evidence to support this decision. And in what world, like she is told like she can kill someone else and like that sacrifice will take care of it. But in what world would killing a cat equate killing a person? Like, I just feel like she doesn't have enough to go on to just make this decision of killing her cat, who's so cute, and it's like a kitten, like it's a little cat. Right.
Read the literature.
Literally, like yeah, like it's also not just like boom done.
That's
like,
what I'm saying,
yeah,
girl.
So
Do
that's
some research.
that. And just for that, like burn in hell. But and then I hate the trope that a character like almost solves a problem and you think they're gonna do it and they're so close and there's that like crazy scene in the cemetery, which I think we should talk about, where she's like giving the button to Sylvia and she's like, you bitch, and she like shoves it down her throat. And then she almost dies crawling out of this grave.
Choke on it, bitch.
Literally. Choke on it, bitch. And then
Again,
it
mouth
was the
horror.
wrong envelope.
More mouth horror.
More mouth
Literally.
horror.
Like I hate that. I hate mix-ups like that. And then there's the gore in the mouth stuff. That was so gross and so bad. But,
It was
but
bad,
I
but
also
it's
like
good.
it. Yes, it's bad, but it's good.
Yeah. Charlie, what's your bad?
A completely different direction. Again, I am ill prepared for this show. I apologize. And I understand that this was originally written in the 90s, and maybe this stuff would have been, I don't want to use the word tolerated, but I feel like the Raimi brothers kept what I'm about to say in for the purpose of being controversial as they are. There's a lot of not only racism, but a lot of weird character tropes in this movie. You
Yeah.
know, like holding the woman down in corporate America versus
Yeah.
the Asian man
Yeah.
at what is considered a more math focused industry. The obvious use, and I will say this word once just because I do understand that in modern day this is absolutely considered a derogatory term, but the prolific use of gypsy.
Yeah.
And while I understand it was written in the 90s before that word became a little more controversial in understanding that it is used in mostly derogatory fashions, this movie came out in 2009.
Yeah.
And those some aspects of that made me a little uncomfortable, like when we go to Sylvia's family and it's like, oh look, they're hitting all these sort of
Stereotypes.
stereotypes.
Yeah.
There's a bit more of that in this film than I'd like. There are moments where it makes me just a little kind of like, ew, like,
absolutely,
icky, like I
with
don't
the
like
make
it,
me a
but...
sandwich, bitch. Like,
Yeah.
And I understand it's there for also like plot reasons. Like Stu is that way because he's a zero confidence bigot piece of shit. But yeah, some of those outdated tropes, they don't age super well.
Yeah.
And so I rewatching that this week in preparation of this, it gave me, as the kids say, the ick.
Yeah. For sure.
So that's really my only bad.
It's good that we can recognize that in retrospect.
Yeah. Yeah. I honestly, I do agree with that now that you mentioned that.
Yeah, I hadn't thought
Thank
about
you
it,
for
but
that perspective. Yeah. Because I wrote like, I don't like Christine.
Well, I mean, but why? Like, maybe we are actually all on the same page. Like,
I feel like she gaslights herself constantly, and she's kind of annoying.
She is
actually.
annoying.
Because she's got this very like Southern belle, like very
she's
sheepish.
Very like pick me.
Yeah, like I'm helpless. Yeah,
yeah, like a pick me girl.
She's a little bit of a pick me girl. Yeah, I mean she's vying for that promotion, and she's willing to make the hard decisions, but it's like, girl, I don't know. I really feel like she doesn't like. There's no like umph to her character. To where I could like either identify with her or like find something that's likable.
So she's not
very
driving
sweet.
the story. The story's driving her.
Yeah. And I feel like there's not enough growth, like, or
There's
character
not-
development. Yeah, exactly. It's like,
I mean,
Okay,
let's be fair here. Like, how many of us have grown in 3 days?
That's true.
Not using trauma growth.
A lot happens. She kills her cat. Like, I feel like that's gotta change you.
And then when she's talking to Clay, she's telling him like, I saw something, and she's like, no, you're right. I'm just traumatized, and like that's good that she can recognize it, because sometimes that does happen. But at the same time, I'm like, no, girl, she cursed you, and like all this stuff happened.
Well, that's what I mean by this curse is so petty. Like, I feel like in a regular movie where someone's cursed, it takes them about 3 days to be like, no,
to realize
I'm not crazy.
That,
actually, something's going on.
Although this, honestly, I mean, forgive me as I go on my my little soapbox for a moment. What we're talking about is very reflective of one of the biggest problems we have here in 2025, right? You look at all across the internet, all these news stories where like a little argument in a parking lot turns into a shootout. Like, Sylvia is the representation of that. Like, you gave me a minor inconvenience to hell. To hell with you. Straight to hell.
Yeah.
And it's like, look at how often that's happening in our society. Like, and so I'm curious about how many people would hear a conversation like this and be like, oh yeah, that's petty. She's going overboard. That's a nuclear reaction.
Yeah.
to
Okay,
something
Karen.
small. Okay, Karen. She is the ultimate Karen
The
mystic.
ultimate Karen. Yeah.
But it's like, how often do we see that happening nowadays, like all around us, where like somebody has this minor inconvenience, misunderstanding, or just bro moments, like, you know, toxic masculinity that does result in somebody having an eternal reward or punishment, as you know, from something that did not need to elevate to that point. And so I hope if anybody does watch this, again, they have temper problems, maybe take that bit away.
Yeah, maybe just be more empathetic.
Yeah.
That's a great point.
That's a great point. Wow. Moral lesson to be learned here. Mar, what's your spooky?
Okay, my spooky is the gore.
The gore.
I brought it up 3 times. I had gore in the good, the bad, and the spooky.
You're consistent. We appreciate it.
Yeah, and it was just the mouth stuff. Like, there was parts where I was like, and the sounds
The
specifically.
sounds.
Yes.
The sound
that
portfolio
was
is
the
amazing.
spookiest
It's so good.
of all.
I just imagine like Sam Raimi or someone like looking through the sounds like not sucky enough.
more sucky.
Make it suckier.
More wetter.
Wetter.
So this is going to be like a hard tangent, so I apologize. But one of my favorite, this company has fallen far in recent decades, unfortunately. But Blizzard Entertainment,
Oh, yeah.
StarCraft in particular, some of the best sound design. But one of my favorite sound effects is when a Zerg hatches.
Yes.
You know how they make that noise? They break a cluster of chicken bones buried in a bucket of mayonnaise.
Stop. Is that really how
They
they do
twist
it?
and break it, and it's in a bucket of mayonnaise, and that's the Zergling hatch sound.
Oh my god.
And so I want to see what the sound portfolio for this is like.
Yeah.
There's got to be like a
why did they
documentary
do
somewhere.
some
Yes.
weird...
The sound design in this movie, it brings it all together. I apologize, deaf listeners.
I wonder if they
Sorry.
went through all the condiments. They were like, okay, we'll try ketchup first, and then if we don't like it, we'll go to mustard.
No. You know they went and got the relish and the Chinese restaurant duck sauce. Those are the two they smushed together.
And then they landed on mayonnaise eventually.
Yeah.
This is
Charlie-
the splutchiest.
Charlie, what's your spooky?
I mean, we all know. The
the
babushka.
Babushka of
Babushka of
Doom.
Doom.
Yeah.
That is honestly
Babushka of
like I love
Doom.
it. It's like, can we name all the parts of the movie it's in? It's obviously when Sylvia. It's on her at the restaurant.
Yeah,
I mean
it's
at the
Yeah.
bank.
at the
restaurant.
bank,
It's on the
the
chalice
car.
at the funeral.
Ah,
It
yeah.
floats- yeah.
Ooh, it floats in the car.
It floats
the
around the
parking
car
garage.
when our use this term loosely, when our protagonist is on the way to the funeral to desecrate Sylvia's grave.
Yeah.
It tries to stop her of its own volition.
Yeah.
So the Babushka of Doom is my consistently favorite part of this movie. It makes me smile every time it's on camera. It makes me want to be like an old Polish woman.
You know shit's about to go down
When
when
the
you see the
babushka
babushka.
shows
I
up.
love that.
Oh, I need
That
to start saying
Sylvia
it like
transferred
that.
her consciousness over to the Babushka of Doom,
Now we
actually.
need to say it like Mar does. Babushka.
Babushka of Doom. So for me, the haunting itself was so awesome.
Yeah.
Like the curse itself, like the Lamia and like everything that happens. I mean, at one point, Christine gets launched into her closet. I was
Yeah.
like, this Lamia is
Yeah.
not- it's on site.
Yeah.
Okay, it's on site. And that's the spookiest part for me because the Lamia does not give two
No.
shits.
Is this the Jaws effect where we never see the Lamia? That makes it all the more terrifying.
Right. Do we see the Lamia actually? Like
I
No,
don't
the
because
actual
it's like
demon?
shadows.
Even Juan
Like a
in the
shadow, right?
beginning. Look at the hands. Some of them are
Yeah.
hooves. Some of them are
Yeah.
three fingers. Some of them are human
Like
hands.
we don't know what
the
it
Lamia
is.
just a manifest. You know what? La Lamia is Legion. She leads.
Legion.
She
Yes.
leads all these demons.
So I think that's the spookiest quote unquote part of the film for me is the haunting, which is great. I just want to give a shout out to that. But yeah. So what would you rate this movie? Let's rate this movie in the number of mints that you'd steal from the bank. How many mints would you steal? They
whole
have
tray.
they have 5 mints in the
all of them.
okay, the whole tray, Charlie. This is
I would take the whole tray. No, this is absolutely like. I don't want to use the word comfort movie. I feel like there's a better term that I could throw out here. This is right up there with like Independence Day. I can watch it anytime
wow, nice.
and have just a good time.
I love how early we're like, I like this movie. Let's just be clear about. Yeah, this is one of your favorite movies.
No. So not that anybody hearing or watching this is going to know the list, but everything on the list I gave you,
Yeah.
I can watch at any moment. Like,
Yeah. I need to
I
watch
love
some of those. Yeah, for sure. Mar, what about you?
I would rate this. Honestly, I just enjoyed this movie so much, and it made me laugh so much that this is. I take all the 5 minutes. I'm like,
Oh, 5 minutes. Okay.
okay, maybe I would. Can I do like a 4 and 3/4?
Yeah.
So she's going to take 4 mints and just gum the last
Yeah.
one a little bit and then
spit
put
a
it
little
back in
back
the wrapper.
Just because of like what we discussed, and because it there are parts of the movie that just gross me out, like genuinely that but I just it's so good. Like if you watch
good.
any of the movies we've talked about, like watch this one because this one's so good, so good. Joanne, you
So I would steal 4 out of 5 minutes.
okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
I really enjoyed this movie. It's really great. I wouldn't say it's like a comfort movie necessarily, but I definitely think it's like, so like, okay, listener, I have this one movie that if like someone has not watched this movie, I'm like, we're watching it like as soon as possible. And that movie is Saved.
Saved. I love Saved.
It's so I love that movie.
So good.
I think Drag Me to Hell though is one of those movies like if you're a horror lover
Mm-hmm.
and they were like, I haven't watched this movie, I'd be like, we're gonna watch Drag Me to Hell
I
because
also
you
feel
have
like
to see it.
this would be such a good movie to just watch in a group with people. Like,
Yes.
this is a movie that I'm gonna pull out
Especially
whenever
with
people are like,
first-timers.
I don't know what to watch. I'm like, we're watching this
Drag
movie.
Me to Hell. Yep.
Like,
Mhm.
especially someone who hasn't seen it. But this, oh god, it's just so funny. Oh,
So now we're going to go on to our Letterboxd reviews, where we read Letterboxd reviews that are especially funny or insightful, but especially funny because we love some of these. You guys are so creative. Everyone's so creative. Uh, it's actually really great. So let's
wait,
see
how
here.
many stars does it have on Letterboxd?
It has 3.2,
Okay.
which is a little low in my opinion,
I
but
feel
you
like it
know,
should be
I feel like
more.
it should be more.
I mean, people on
Um,
Letterboxd are obviously terrible people and should be cursed by Sylvia.
yes.
Straight to hell.
Straight to hell. Oh, less than 4 stars? Straight to hell.
Straight to
Straight to
hell.
hell.
Griffin
hell.
Griffin said a film for cat lovers.
I mean, he's
That's
not
too
wrong.
good.
Because, I mean, let's look. It a sheer act of generosity, the Lamia does give the cat back.
That's true.
That's true. So the cat prevails.
Maybe the Lamia is the real
Cynthia does
protagonist.
not. Yeah,
Maybe.
right. Dirk H said, "Allow me to not act my age and indulge in a bit of internet slang. This is the GOAT PG-13 horror movie ever made."
Can we talk about how this is PG-13?
It's PG-13.
What the fuck?
I'm showing this at school
PG-13.
tomorrow.
Yeah. For our next biology lesson.
This is how you eject maggots from your throat.
I feel like this person right here, Adrian, this was really good, but also really bad at the same time.
Yeah, I was just reading that one. I also like more films should thoroughly hate their main character as much as this does. It
So
did feel
true.
like Sam Raimi just had it out
Yeah,
for
it's
Christine.
just, he was like, you know what? I'm gonna write the most
It's
horrible
like,
character
make
ever
out with
and
the old
drag her
lady
to
one
hell.
more time. One more gummy make out. Just another one.
Have you seen that commercial that's like more dirt? We need more
Yes,
dirt.
it's at the
That's
movies.
it. Oh my God.
Christine fucking sucks. Drag her out of this movie, dude.
Yeah, people really hate
I
Christine.
mean, they got her. That person got their wish.
Yeah.
So, because those last frames as she's going down, when they do the special
Yeah.
effects of her like flesh pulling back off of her skull, it's like, oh,
They're so good.
oh my.
No,
Yeah.
that ending scene was phenomenal.
Okay, I think this one's good, and then we can maybe call it. But this is Jamel, who rated it 3.5 stars and a heart. What does a heart mean on Letterboxd? It means you
They
really
liked it, I
liked
guess.
it?
I guess.
Okay. It says terrific Looney Tunes horror shit to underscore the potent observation that capitalism makes monsters of us all.
Dang.
I know.
That's heavy.
Okay, English
Do we need to
major.
rewatch that movie?
Yeah.
And that about does
Wait,
it for today.
okay,
Somebody
Oh,
was going for
Lord.
extra credit.
Benton Tarantella said, "It's the go bleeding whore for me."
And that about does it for today. Thank you for joining us. If you enjoyed the podcast, tell your friends about us and don't forget to give us a like, subscribe, and rate us 5 minutes in whatever app or podcast service you use to bring on the spooks.
Please follow us on our socials by going to scarymovienights.com. Our two most used social media platforms right now are Instagram and Facebook. Just search Scary Movie Nights on either platform and you'll find us.
You can also message us through our socials or by sending an email to spooky@scarymovienights.com. Tell us what you think about Drag Me to Hell. Did you watch it? Was it your thing? How many mints would you steal from the bank? I'm Joanne,
And I'm Mariana.
And I'm Charlie.
and thanks for joining us for another Scary Movie Night. See you in 2 weeks.
Stay spooky.
Oh, there's a catchphrase.
Every time we do that, it feels like on Saturday Night Live when they're like, "It's Saturday night."